Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the We Want Houston podcast. I'm your host, Clayton Anderson, and joining me today is a very, very, very talented individual, young, but very talented. Uh, Last time he was Texans Jacob. Now he is transmogrified. He is now Jacob Barzilla. That is my guest today, Mr. Jacob Barzilla. Jake, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. So, for those not in the know, again, like I said, very talented individual, young dude. Currently, so on your X account, real quick, before we kind of get into this interview that you just did, in your X kind of bio, it says you're a sleeper Texans content curator, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so kind of explain it real quick. Let me drop this down. So, explain what that means, real quick. Texans content curator for
Got you.
sleeper. What do you
So
do?
Sleeper currently has one for each team. It's kind of a broad term. A lot of people use it as more of a fan type thing, just posting any type of clips, any kind of thing like that. I try to do it more, on the writing side. I like being the reporter. Long term future for me is trying to be a reporter type. So I pretty much just try to broaden my content when it comes to text and stuff. Talk about kind of whatever. I'm a big stats guy, so I post a lot of different stats especially throughout the summer when there's not that much to talk about. But it's more just kind of creating content for the team that you're assigned to.
Sure. No, absolutely, man. That's cool, man. That's cool. I know Sleeper's been very active and has grown a lot. So it's cool to see that you're doing that at such a young age, and just so early on. So that's great for you. Anyway, back to this though. So you just finished up with undrafted free agent Derek Graham on the offensive line, man. So tell us about that. How did that interview go? How did you enjoy it? What did you learn?
Yeah, I mean, great guy, very humble guy. He was so he actually played with Jake Andrews, and his offensive line coach Cole Popovich was at Troy, so they all overlapped for one season at Troy. Um, and he told me I'll probably post a clip later, but he told me that Popovich and Andrews were kind of some of the reasons why he decided that Houston was probably a place of interest for him in the UDFA process. Although he signed later in that process, but probably identified Houston as a potential option. He was used at Troy as the third lineman a lot of time, or a sixth lineman, third tackle, which the Texans obviously have done with Blake Fisher last year. So he's a big dude, kind of fits into what the Texans like to do at tackle. He also brings versatility. He's played both tackle spots and the sixth spot. But he's also told me that he'll move inside if he has to move inside. So probably a guy to watch out for, because I do think the fourth tackle spot is probably open between Blake Fisher and kind of the UDFA guys with James Neal, Sam Hagan, and Graham as well. So I think a guy to pay attention to a little bit. I think he'll probably get in there a little bit just because of the Popovich connection, and a guy that and he told me that Jake Andrews was actually the right guard when he took over at Troy at right tackle. So they've known each other for I want to say this is sixth year, because 2020. So they've known each other for a while. He said him and Ed Ingram were guys that kind of helped the process. They've been kind of working out lately, and heading into training camp. So
Sure. No, hey man, look, great investigative work. I commend you, sir. And no, I love what I'm hearing, because what it continues with this Texan squad in particular, and how they've been doing things, not just with scheme fit, but you're very much seeing like the very intentionality. I'm sorry, I don't even know how you phrase that. A very intentional way of building this roster out to where it's not just scheme, but it's a lot of relationship, right? Like from Shaplinsky to Caley to all these guys, like you said, with Graham, who have these pre-existing relationships, and so they just fit right into the culture, to the climate, to the technique. So it's just this continuation of the language, upon layers and layers. So again, a very organized, systemic approach. That
yes.
again, if you're a Houston Texans fan of a long time, we haven't always seen this kind of functionality, in such a layered way. So that's an awesome thing. But yeah, man, so cool. Go check that out, y'all. Texans Pro, awesome stuff, man. Jacob's always look. I keep up with him, right? He, like you said, stats guy, always active, always bringing up ideas that honestly I might piggyback every now and again, but no, man. So it just making things a lot easier. So check him out. But we got some ball to talk about, man. So I don't know if you saw the news. I'm pretty sure you have, man. You're knowledgeable. Indianapolis Colts star receiver Alec Pierce earlier today was put on the active pup list, right? So for those who kind of don't know how these various lists work, so the active one just simply means he's just going to miss out on portions of training camp. He's still in line to play. There's nothing wrong there, but due to the fact that he had his ankle surgery in the offseason, late March, I believe, He had a window of 4 to 6 months to recover. This being July 27th will be about 4 months in. So it's mathematically expected. So that's why he's on the active list. Now, in the event that he is transitioned to the reserve pup list, that is when he will automatically miss the first 4 games of the season. So Jake, I'm gonna throw it over to you, man. So should the Texans be intrigued by this development? Should we pay attention to this yet? Yes or no? Is it a big nothing burger or is it significant?
I do think it's interesting. I think at some point Pierce will play, whether it's week one or a little bit farther down the line. I know I saw Shane Steichen was talking about trying to get Josh Downs more involved, so maybe that has something to do with Pierce, maybe on a little bit slower of a recovery. I mean, Pierce obviously he's kind of killed the Texans the last couple of years. He's a good receiver, obviously. Got a lot of money this offseason from Indy, so he's a good player. I'm not all that concerned about the Colts just in general, and I don't believe the Texans play the Colts till a little later in the season. Or actually, that's not true. They play them in week three.
Week
So
three.
yeah, so they play them on the road week three, and they have the Thursday night game later in the year. So week three could be interesting. I would assume he'll be back at that point. I don't necessarily know if it'll be a long term thing with him, but it'll be interesting. Obviously, different from another Colts guy, which I think we're going to touch on here with the recovery status.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, like you said, he did freshly sign a $114 million contract, having him right on the bubble of 30 mil, about 29.5, I believe. Again, this was his time after his first 1,000-yard season of his career to try to really elevate into that true wide receiver one territory and to kind of get out of just the deep threat kind of one trick
Mhm.
ponyism, right? So, no, Pierce is a good receiver. Now credit to Daniel Jones just throwing him some dimes, against us,
Yeah.
right? Like the one throw to the back of the end zone where I mean Lassiter was on him like a backpack, but he just dimed it in a way that only he could catch it. So
Mhm.
kudos to him. Contested catcher, of course, deep threat runs what at like a 4.40, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, he
So
moves well.
yeah, 4.40, 6'3" target, big body guy. So like he has a big toolbox on him. So and with that said, so what? Like you said,
Yeah.
the Texans secondary does not care. And there's no disrespect to Alec Pierce. They don't care about anybody, right? Like it doesn't really matter who, straps with the chin strapped against them. But to your point, Jake, let's kind of talk through the stats, right? You're a stat guy, so I kind of pulled this up earlier. You can go find it on the Google, right? In the 2 games against the Texans last season, Pierce went off for 8 receptions on 12 targets, 210 receiving yards, so an average about of 105 yards per game, 3 touchdowns, and a reception average of 26.25 yards per game against us. So is he T.Y. Hilton? No. But again, he's a very credible threat. Like he's not to be disrespected, and once he really, not saying he can't run the route tree, but like once he really starts diversifying more, or the Colts just feature him more in that kind of line of thinking as a receiver, he
Mhm.
will be dangerous. But right now, that just is what it is. But look, it could be a big nothing burger, right? It's early. It seems like half the league has a guy on pup or two. So it happens. But again, though, if it gets late enough, because mathematically that 6 month window on the back end of his timetable should be late September. So
Yeah.
again, we don't know how recoveries work. We just saw Joe Mixon, unfortunately, and things didn't work out how we had hoped. Not saying that I hope that for Pierce, I hope the best for him, his family, his recovery. Never want to see that.
Absolutely.
Uh, I'd rather play them full strength and just beat them that way. But I will say, I mean, I'm not against not facing their top receiver in week
For
three.
sure.
I'm not gonna be mad about that. But switching gears, Jake, like you kind of teased to the other injury concern, or I guess lack thereof at this point, Mr. Daniel Indiana Jones has reportedly been fully cleared, according to a report on the Pat McAfee show by our guy Eric Marav. Said it's good to go after that torn Achilles suffered last year, and he will start training camp. So, Jake, kind of back to you. Same question I have for you is, I mean, are you threatened by Daniel Jones? Is this a big development? Yes or no?
I actually think Daniel Jones is better than some people give him credit for, even after last year. I thought towards the beginning of last year, he was really playing well. The injuries kind of caught up with him later in the season, and I think people just kind of caught on to their offense a little bit. So I'm not necessarily expecting him to play the level he did, the first 5 weeks, but I do believe that he's a good quarterback, and I think Shane Steichen's a good offensive coach. So, I don't. I think the offense will still be good. I think the offensive line will be interesting. They have some moving pieces. They obviously lost Braden Smith, but they do have Jalen Travis, who I think they're fine with starting at right tackle. And Jonathan Taylor, still awesome. And then I like Josh Downs a lot. I think I kind of talked about him earlier, but he was one of my favorite guys coming out a couple years ago when he was in the draft. And I think now with Michael Pittman gone, you probably will see him get utilized a little bit more in that short and medium range stuff. So I'm a big fan of him. He's made plays against the Texans too in the past. So I think they're still a good offense, but I don't necessarily think they're a huge threat to the Texans when it comes to. I think the Texans are clearly a better team.
Hmm.
But I do believe that the Colts are. I think they're maybe a little bit underrated right now because of how the season ended for them.
So you said they might be underrated. You said.
I think they might be.
Okay. Well, truth be told, yeah, like you said, they did have the best offensive football through like what 10 weeks last year.
Yeah,
Jumped out to a 7-1 record, then 8-2, and then the wheels fell off. And for this reason, because Daniel Jones, look, credit to him, right? He was balling. This was the most
he
unlocked
was.
version of
Yeah,
him we've ever seen ever. And I got kind of nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Excuse me. To his credit, like he went against us in week 13, I believe it was. Yes, it was week 13.
hmm
And I thought, like many, barbecue chicken because he had the fractured fibula, right? And
yeah,
we saw the video of him like laboring in practice. So I'm thinking, all right, cool, 2 to 5 sacks, right? Nope.
yeah.
The
He was
Texans did
good.
win. Look, the Texans
Yeah,
did win 20-16 in that game. However, Daniel Jones' stat line 14 for 27, not bad, about 50%, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, only 1 sack on one leg effectively, and a 101 passer rating. So, look, truth be told, man, look, Daniel Jones, he's earned a lot more respect. He's tough, gritty,
he is.
and he can play, man. He flashed it with Brian Daboll in New York. And again, Shane Steichen being a coach who, look, if Nick Caley ever was hired somewhere else, I would love to have Shane
Oh,
Steichen as
absolutely,
OC immediately, like this, like no hesitation.
absolutely. Yeah,
So with those two guys getting together and Jonathan Taylor, like you said, in that offensive infrastructure, I mean, yeah, I mean Daniel Jones was playing some great, phenomenal football. And again, look, I'm happy that he's healthy, right?
yeah,
He got his
absolutely.
money, he's healthier. So again, I'd rather play them and beat them at full strength. Glad to see he's okay. But I don't know. Indiana, like you were saying, the Indianapolis coaches have a lot of questions this entire season between
Yeah,
the injuries,
agreed.
between contracts with JT, between Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen being on the hot seat. We might see just a very desperate Colts team in a lot of ways, man. But that
Yeah,
that early part of their schedule is brutal, though. It is
it is
brutal.
tough. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure Chris Ballard makes it through the year. If they start poorly, it probably goes downhill faster for him than it does Steichen. Because I think Steichen's pretty good. I don't think Ballard's very good.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, if you ask Colts fans, like I have, all of them would agree with you and say, no, Ballard should have been
yeah,
gone. He's been here
yeah,
for what,
Ballard should
over
have
a
been gone a
decade?
while ago.
Yeah, they said over a
Yeah, Ballard should
decade,
have been
man.
gone.
Like hasn't won the division since he's been here. Playoffs twice. I think won one playoff game against us. I want to say
Us,
in
yeah,
2018. Yeah, against us because it's always us.
2018.
Right, and that's it. No division
Yeah,
wins ever. It's been Texans, Jags, and Titans rotating. So yeah, man, I agree with you. Ballard, he might be out, and if it's a very real chance they start off 0-3 to 0-4, based off of
hmm
their schedules beginning. It is that tough, and if they do, yeah, Ballard might be out because again, keep in mind, Jake. Also, for those who don't know, they're operating without some first round draft capital because of Sauce Gardner
yes,
last year.
us, yeah.
So they already decided that Danny Jones was their guy. We're gonna go ahead
hmm
and leverage these multiple draft picks, first rounders for Sauce Gardner. So they better hope it works because if not, Jake, like you said, I mean, easily they're staring down the barrel of not just regression, but do you blow it up, right? Like, and how
hmm
much do you blow it up? I don't know because JT's on the last year of his contract. Do you entertain trading him at the deadline if things sour and he doesn't? Those are the questions
Yeah.
that you have, but it's good for the Texans because we don't have those problems. So speaking of the Texans, though, so moving on, our guy, friend of the show, DJ Bienemy, ESPN Texans reporter, he gave us the skinny. That's right. Formally announced Nick Caserio is going to do his annual training camp press conference on Wednesday at 8:30 before practice starts. Jake, is a very exciting time. After that, practice starts at 9. D'Amico speaks at 10:20. So, Jake, man, lay it on us, sir. What are you looking forward to in this press conference? Are there any specific questions that you would have for Nick if you were in that room?
So, it's interesting because I'm a big fan of Casario. I've kind of been on record with that. I think he's done a really really good job. I think like you kind of alluded to with it when it comes to the offensive line construction, I would be interested to hear if there was almost a commitment to just building the offensive line a different way. Not that the offensive lines of the past didn't have talent, but just committing to, okay, we're going to try to run the ball, maybe get more physical. It feels like they're trying to build an identity on offense versus what they've had the last couple of years, where it felt like they had good players, but maybe not all guys that fit trying to do one thing. Which was, you kind of saw weaknesses of that. And that feel like it changed this offseason. I would like to hear, I think Woody Marks' role is going to be pretty interesting. I wrote about that a couple weeks ago, or maybe up to a month ago now. It'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing, because some of the third down stuff I would like to see him get involved in. But is he? Apparently he's going to be a kick return option, so that would be pretty interesting. Frank Ross talked about that. And defensively, I'd like to hear kind of about the DB depth, because they've worked out a lot of defensive backs lately. So yeah, I do think that's maybe a position where they feel like they have some maybe depth concerns in the back end. I love Jalen Smith. I think he's going to be a very good corner three. I think he's very slept on because he just wasn't healthy for most of last year. But maybe some of the safety stuff with MJ Stewart, who's not, I don't know if he's currently healthy. We'll see when it comes to camp. And Kamari Ramsey, I'm not the biggest fan of as a player. I think he's kind of a guy that, maybe he's on the bubble a little bit. Not necessarily that he's going to get cut, but could be a guy that if MJ Stewart's healthy and they bring in another guy, maybe could be on the way out. Because I think Elijah Huzzie is a better player than he is. So I would keep Huzzie over him. Huzzie's a guy I'm a big fan of as well. I'm interested to watch him in camp. So those are kind of some things that I would like to hear from Caserio, although he probably won't answer any of them. So.
No, understandable. That is now the second Elijah Huzzie strong shout out that we've gotten on the show within the last 2 weeks. You and Jeremy Chugs from Texans Today, he said the same thing. Very big on a Huzzie. Had he not gotten hurt at UNC, there's probably no way he would have felt us as a UDFA.
Absolutely not. I think Drew and I, who we do our Texans Pro podcast, I think Drew had him, who actually he works as a scout now for the Shrine Bowl, but he had him as a third round grade. Like he really liked Elijah Huzzie. I had him mocked a couple of times in like the 5th round, day 3, so he would not have gone undrafted, I don't think, if it wasn't for the injury. He makes plays like, obviously the one game he played in last year, he got a pick, although it wasn't like an amazing play, kind of fell right into his lap, but. I think he's one of the better cover nickels that they've had. Obviously, a different option from Petrie, a guy that you could throw on the field, and a guy that's a good special teamer as well. So I'd be pretty surprised if Huzzie didn't make the team come September or late August, whenever the cut date is this year.
Look, you said the two special phrases as it relates to nickel corner in Houston. We love Jalen Petrie, but he's more of a bruiser. He can get the occasional pick, right? But that's not really his thing, which is why he was moved down from the traditional cover safety to put you in the box and basically make you a de facto linebacker. With Huzzie, like you said, he can play the nickel like a Petrie does, but he's actually a cover guy that you'd want there, right? So that's what I'm excited about. That's what everybody else is excited about, and I'm actually low-key trying. I'm looking forward to maybe being able to get Huzzie on the show to talk some ball. That'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. So looking forward to that. If it does happen, if it doesn't, hey, fine. But hey, I'd love to have him on so we can really talk through these things. Listen, we count those tips and overthrows. We count those. We need those, right? I don't care if it's week 18. It's good. It's good
Absolutely.
on the stat sheet. It's good that his resilience, that's my thing too. Like, he overcame this severe injury going into the season. He got on the field, got NFL reps, got an interception, got the taste of it, and now he's there again. Along with guys like Jalen Smith, like you mentioned, and along with guys like Jalen Reed. Like, the secondary and the young guys that we have there, like, they low key, they are so loaded right now that if they're just developing, like, it's like a factory. Like, and if they're just able to just develop these dudes, like, we can't keep everybody, unfortunately.
No,
but
yeah,
it's the
100%.
fact that we have a lot of answers in house that other teams don't have, right? Like, we're talking about cornerback 3, we're talking about safety, we're talking about all these things. We probably got them right now. They just have either been hurt, or they're young, or they're just some good vets in front of them. So we'll see. Hopefully, Huzzie can be the guy who breaks through at cornerback 3, and then we won't need to outsource that kind of thing, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
So, continuing in the same vein of, like, players, training camp and whatnot, as far as the current crop of rookies this year, like, not the Huzzies, not the return guys who were, rookies because they were hurt last year, but guys like the Bonds, guys like Rutledge, guys like McDonald. If you had to circle one rookie who could be a possible breakout option, and matter of fact, You cannot say Rutledge. You cannot say
Yep.
McDonald. Which young guy could you best see maybe making the 53 this year?
Prediction. So I've been on record. I think Marlon Klein is going to be good, which I know a lot. That's a hot take compared to how a lot of people are. But he probably wouldn't be my answer when it comes to just being a year one impact guy. I think he's more of a guy that's you're going to see his impact down the line. And I actually think the same
Mm-hmm.
with Caden McDonald. I don't expect a ton from Caden McDonald as a rookie. My pick, honestly, currently is Wade Woodaz. I think Woodaz gets in.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any injuries at linebacker, especially with EJ Speed probably being out for most or if not all of the season, I think
He's loaded,
Woodaz
yeah.
physically is really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you might see him get on the field if there's a Toa injury or something like that and make some plays. I'm impressed by him physically, like I said, and I think special teams wise, he's going to be awesome on special teams. So I would assume that's going to mean something for the Texans, obviously. And I'm impressed by him. When you go put on some of the Clemson tape, there's some really good moments, and I know that some people that were at the OTAs and minicamp had him labeled as a guy that looked pretty good out there. So that'll be a guy I'm watching in training camp. And then I think the other one is just Jack Stonehouse. I think punter wise, you're probably I think he ends up probably being the punter. So
Mm-hmm.
undrafted guy on the roster. If you wanted two underrated guys too, I think James Neal could make the 53 man's roster as an undrafted guy. Sam Hagan's another guy as well that I think could sneak on there as probably the ninth lineman and the fourth tackle.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, man. No, look, absolutely, right? Stonehouse, that's another guy who I'm working on some things with, maybe, maybe not. Like, trying to get toss the ball with these guys, man. Like, no, because look, it's an exciting
Absolutely.
time. Look, I DJ me
Absolutely.
and I, when he came on the show, we spoke about it, right? He said that this is one of the more like non-exciting training camps he's seen. Like, and not
Yeah, I
like in a
agree.
disrespectful way, but he's saying like this is a very meat and potatoes kind of like depth churning, like really like we said factory earlier, kind of off season where you're really developing dudes. You're not really doing like a lot of splash stuff. You're doing a lot of book study, a lot of case study, a lot of scouting, a lot of that kind of thing, continuity, building layers of players. That's what this is. So like you said, the way Woodasses and heck even the Aiden Fishers and Lewis Bonds, like
Hmm.
these are scheme fits, these are relationships. This is
Shout out Lewis
continuity that
Bond.
you're seeing. Yeah,
I
exactly.
do
Oh
like
yeah,
Lewis
Lewis
Bond.
Bond
I
fan
do
club.
like him. I think he's a good
Yeah,
player.
Lewis
I don't
Bond
know
fan
about
club.
year
Let's
one,
do
but
it.
I think down the line, Lewis Bond's going to be pretty good. I do like
Listen,
him.
listen, Lewis Bond fan club, stand up. I'm representing 10 toes,
I
10 toes
I
down,
do
baby.
like Lewis Bond. Coming into OTAs, I wasn't sure if I was going to have him on my 53. So I'm not still 100% sure because it's going to be tough. I don't know how
Mm,
many receivers they're going to keep, but I think he's got a
mm-hmm.
good shot because his Senior Bowl tape was pretty good, and then he made a lot of plays in OTAs and minicamp. So we'll
Mm.
see. I'm interested
No,
to watch him.
absolutely. And last little note on what since you bring him up, I have the very basic, layman's stats in front of me on Clemson right here. I don't have the
Hmm.
sabermetrics up in front of me. Don't judge me. But last 2 years, man, at least 43 solo tackles in each year. First of all, healthy, right? Like at least 12 games played in all
Yeah,
4 years at Clemson. 43 solo tackles last couple years. Assisted tackles, what, 40 and 24 and 27 this past year. So a dip, but whatever. Now, cover guy is what I'm looking forward to with Woodaz. I like the fact that at linebacker, because we've had our issues at linebacker when it comes to guys
for
getting
sure.
burnt in the
Hmm.
short to intermediate
Absolutely.
or on wheel routes, cough, cough, Henry T.
Yeah,
Much love to him.
I'm on
Like, yeah,
record not being the biggest Henry To'oTo'o fan at times, especially. So,
yeah. So, and look, I don't want to pile on. Much love to the Henry T family.
oh
Him and his
yeah,
wife, I believe, like big personalities.
absolutely, yeah.
Love the
And he's
dude, high
good.
motor.
And I will say, Henry To'oTo'o is very good at what he's good at. He's for
Yes.
a guy that's not very physically gifted for a linebacker. He's got very good play rec, especially in the run game. He comes downhill very well. He takes on blocks
Mm-hmm.
well in the run game. And I think he's improved a lot. Like I will give him credit because, and honestly, in the postseason, he was very good in those two postseason games last year. So he has his moments, and he's definitely gotten better in coverage. But the coverage is still there's just not a lot I can expect from him in coverage because he's just not very physically gifted. Like guys can just beat him. Like guys are faster and quicker than he is. So it's tough to put too much of the blame on him.
Sure. Look, Henry Toto is the ultimate like great character, like high
Yeah.
personality guy, high motor. Like he'll never cheat you in effort. But there are just
Oh
certain
no,
things.
absolutely
There are
not.
just certain things you're just like, come on, Henry.
Yeah, he's just limited in what he can do.
Oh man.
And I mean,
So
I guarantee you, you go in the film room with Henry To'oTo'o and you're blown away. He's probably the smartest guy on the defense when it comes to that kind of stuff. So
sure. And again, yeah. Oh no, go. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, you're good. I
You-
was just like his play rec, like I said, especially in the run game, the way he plays,
Mhm.
he's able to diagnose stuff from the run game, and the way he's improved at that. Because there was a lot of times in his rookie year where he was just out of place, and he doesn't have the physical gifts to make up for being out of place. Is kind of the thing. Like you
Mm,
see some of these guys. I mean, you look at the top linebackers, like a Fred Warner or even a Woodaz, like you discussed. Like he has the ability to like, okay, I'm out of place, but I'm athletic enough to go back and go make a play.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think Henry To'oTo'o has that much flexibility because he's just not.
No.
He's never been the most athletic guy. He's probably one of the more unathletic guys on the field compared to NFL athletes. But that's D'Amico's guy. Like he's super smart and he knows what's going on at that position. So that's
Mhm.
why he's on the field.
Sure, absolutely. But again, I love the fact that it goes back into the scheme fit thing. So you're bringing an
Oh
Aiden
yeah,
Fisher, bringing a Wade Woodaz. They are not going to be guys who supplant Aziz or Henry T, but they bring a
no,
versatility that you otherwise do not have with the previous two. They can cover. They're more versatile, like that kind of thing.
hmm
They're not better holistically, but they bring certain strengths to the table that you don't otherwise have. So that in certain situations, when you rotate them in, they might make a play or two because they're
uh
equipped
huh,
to, right? In those 1 or 2
absolutely.
plays. So, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Um, but yeah, so transitioning on even from that. So we talked about defense, right? We always talk about defense, but to the offensive side of the ball, right? I picked this up. I showed you off stream. Our guy at AO Noah, I'm sorry, AO Texan Nation, AO Noah, shout out him. He brought this up, man. He said the Houston Texans haven't gotten their offensive coordinator right over the years. Nick Caley, it's showtime. So top left, for those who don't know, I think that's George Godsey, right? Under
Yes, yeah,
BOB, that was him. To the right is Tim Kelly, basically George Godsey with hair. Bottom left, of course, is Bobby Slowick, right? Most recently being here. Thought we had a guy, thought we had a head coaching candidate. We thought wrong. And now you have
yeah.
Nick Haley in the bottom right. Do not forget Pep Hamilton, right? So there you go,
hmm
guys like that. So yeah, Jacob, it's been I don't want to say a wasteland of sorts, but for as prolific as the defense has been, kind of with Lovie Smith and D'Amico Ryans, like our defense has always been like kind of notoriously the strength of our franchise outside of like the
hmm
2011 to 2013 Texans teams with Schaub and
Yeah.
Arian and AJ, guys like that. But yeah, man, we have not been able to get it right offensively. Do you think finally we have a guy in Nick Caley? Will he be the long term solution at offensive coordinator? Yes or no, and why?
I think Nick Caley's pretty good. I'm not going to say he's amazing. I don't necessarily think he's ever going to be
Rich.
like the Sean McVay. I don't think he's ever going to be that kind of guy. But I do
Mhm.
think what Caley did last season, especially towards the end of the year, was pretty impressive. Like
Mhm.
when you just look at it broadly on offense, their offense just wasn't all that talented. Like they had good players. Like Nico's obviously very good. I think Nico is better than a lot of people give him credit for. CJ was pretty decent for most of the year until the postseason, but the running back room was not very good. The receivers outside of Nico were very inconsistent. Kirk had the one playoff game. That was pretty much it. Higgins, I thought was better towards the end of the year, but he was still kind of up and down. Hutchinson's kind of just there. He's just like a depth guy. And then Noel had his moments, but he just didn't see the field a whole lot. And then the offensive line, I think they were better than they were a year ago, but I still don't think they were very good last year, especially in the run game. So you just look at it and you look at it broadly like that, and it's like they got one guy on offense that's probably a guy that you would consider as like, oh, he's probably top 10 in his position. And it still probably is like that right now. But Nico's the only guy. So for the offense to be like middle of the pack when it comes to a lot of your advanced numbers, and even in the playoffs, like you go turn on some of the New England tape and like guys are open. Like it wasn't like it was all Caley, like just okay. There's nowhere to go with the football. Like guys were open, whether it wasn't protected or Stroud couldn't get him the ball, and obviously the run game was just a disaster in that game. But it wasn't like Caley was a disaster. And I thought Caley in the Pittsburgh game was awesome. That was one of the best called games I've seen. Probably the best one he had his whole first year in Houston. I thought like guys were open, they were running the ball down Pittsburgh's throat. If it wasn't for the turnovers, they would have absolutely killed the Steelers on like they were dominant on offense in that game outside of those turnovers. So I do like Nick Caley. I think I tweeted a couple weeks ago that I think that there's a good chance he ends up getting head coaching interviews after this season, which I know people were not happy about. But I like Nick Caley more than I think your average person. I think he's a good floor raiser. I think he does a good job of okay, we're gonna like especially last season with a poor offensive line, doing a good job of protecting CJ Stroud like with knowing that your situation on your offensive line is not great. You're going to get rid of the ball pretty quick. And they did a good job of just playing into the hands of the defense. Like we're not going to turn the football over, which obviously changed in the playoffs. But I don't honestly think that was Caley's fault. I think the quarterback just played poorly in that. They turned the ball over 12 times in the entire regular season, and I want to say 6 of them were in the first 3 weeks or something close to that. Like it was a lot of them were maybe not even 6, maybe it was like 5, but a lot of them were in those first 3 weeks that they lost. So they didn't turn the ball over very often. And that helped the defense out. It went both ways. Like they were one of the best time of possession teams. They didn't turn the football over. And so if they can improve the run game this year, which I think they've hopefully done, I think Caley will be pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I got you. And look, again, we talk facts and stats here. So I got the 2025 numbers pulled up right here. So we all know about the 0-3 start last year. And a big reason why, if not the only reason why, is because your offense scored 9, 19, and
Yeah,
10 in the first 3 weeks. It was bad, man. It was bad. But the
it was
fact that
bad.
in
Yeah.
all three, yeah, the fact that in all three, though, you were a possession or two or just a player two away from overcoming, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
But because you were so close and the margins were so slim, you lose those games. Those were tough. After that, though, 26-0 against the Titans. You drop a 40 burger, extra crispy biscuit, no drink against the Ravens, right? The Seahawks, you kind of go back, but not really because the Seahawks were the number
They
one
were
scoring
they were
defense
amazing. Yeah,
in the
that team
NFL.
was
No,
just really good.
yeah, look, I gotta put some haterade on that because we all know if it wasn't for that phony baloney Week 18 Riley Leonard experience, the Texans would have been first in scoring and in yards. But I'll leave it alone. I won't go on that hill tonight. But
Hey,
whatever,
I think they're first. I think they finished first in EPA per play. So there you go.
whatever,
The advanced numbers
whatever,
still got them.
whatever. After that, Texans dropped 26 against the Niners, right? Then
Uh-huh.
backtrack again. Now this one against the
Denver
Broncos,
was
y'all know what
tough.
happened.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud was concussed in the top of the second. It doesn't really count, right? Like, and I told somebody else this who tried to dump on Davis Mills. I said, well, Davis Mills was thrown in with little to no reps in this game,
Yeah.
and
That was tough.
the fact that he was not lit up for like 5 to 6 sacks and 3 interceptions. Like, no, he played a clean game for the circumstance. They just couldn't pull it out. And by the way, the offense got overly aggressive at the end. Jacob, you remember that? Like, we tried
That
to
was bad. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's all
Caley
it was.
really. There were some really bad moments early in the season for
Yeah,
Caley. Like there was some
yeah,
really bad moments, and I do think part of the reason why I believe in Caley as much as I do is because the bad moments were not just some of the bad offensive coordinators that you see when there's bad moments, they double down and they just continue to
yeah,
make the same mistakes over and over again. Caley did not do that. When it came to personnel things, like Caley did not want to be in jumbo personnel if he didn't have to be. He's a tight end guy. He wants to be in 12 personnel. They didn't have a
yeah.
second tight end. It was like a capable
They did
tight
not.
end. So they went to jumbo. Or
Yeah,
you talk about how poor the red zone offense was the first half of the season.
awful,
So they
trash.
changed. I mean, the Jacksonville game, they're running sweeps. They tried everything in the red zone. It wasn't like they were, because the Denver game was a perfect example of like, if the red zone offense was better against Denver, they win. Because
Yeah,
they got
yeah,
to the one twice and they couldn't
yeah.
score. So it was like, it was just
So what you're saying?
it was bad, and
Yeah,
that was a bad called red zone sequence. They were just trying to run it into the middle of the
sure.
teeth of the defense against a good defensive unit, and they couldn't do it. But then you see the next week against Jacksonville, like I said, they do different things in the red zone, and throughout the rest of the season, they just were very good at adapting to what they had on offense, which wasn't a lot, but they did a good job of okay, like we can't do this, and I think. Jonathan Alexander wrote an article talking about this with Caley about how Caley was
Yeah,
like, I think it was after week 3, he admitted he was like, we can't do what I want to do. Like I'm not going to try to continue to do this when we're
yeah,
not capable of doing it. And to me, that's a sign of a good coach. Like you can't, and we saw this with Bobby Slowick. Like he was the king of this of we can't do it, but we're going to continue to do it. Um, so I think that shows a lot about a coach of being that willing to just completely get rid of what they wanted to do.
mm-hmm. No, you're not wrong, sir. Yeah, Jonathan Alexander, friend of the show. Also, again, beautiful work.
Great. He does
complimented him,
great.
man. No,
Yeah,
oh yeah, no, he does a phenomenal job of. I told him this, bringing you really into the personal world of the person he's interviewing, like not just in the
absolutely.
football, but really getting into the mindset. And no, I read that too. Nick Caley, he admitted, he said, yeah, I was a bit overly aggressive. I was square peg and round hole guy. And yeah, but the fact that he owned it, and as John said, you can't find a single person say anything bad about Caley and organization. Like that's
Absolutely.
such a night and day thing versus what we got with Bob, with Bobby Slowick, where again, if you listen to the streets, let them tell it. He got in CJ's face allegedly before the draft even happened, and to the point
Yeah.
where it almost cost you CJ Stroud. Like he literally went around telling people like my Houston visit was terrible and all this stuff, and that's just
Hmm.
not what we got with Caley. So he's Caley's just a great dude all around, and
Yeah.
it's just if the play
100%.
calling catches up to him being just a great dude, then it's like yeah, you want that guy, right? Like then you kind of have your
Absolutely.
maybe Sean McVay, like hyper energetic guy, very relatable, connectivity,
Oh yeah, he's an awesome,
and he's
like,
a
very
that kind of
likable
thing.
dude.
Absolutely. So look, and we'll finish up on going through the numbers, right? So Jaguars, you dropped 36. Thanks, Sheldon. 16 against the Titans. Just Titans low key had like a solid defensive interior. Like Jeffrey Simmons,
Yeah, that
like
was a weird game too because they didn't
yeah,
score in the first half of that game. That was a bizarre game.
they did
It was
not.
a weird game.
But Davis and Nico, they clutched up, man. They did.
He made
Bills
plays.
game. So what I liked is after
That was a
the
weird
Titans
game too.
game, the Texans went on this run where the offense you could say didn't explode like that, but you kind of alluded to it, Jacob. It stabilized. It knew who it
Yeah.
was, who it wasn't, and they just stayed the course. So they hit like this 20 to 23 point clip kind of deal where it was 23 versus the
Yeah.
Bills, 20 against the Colts, 20 against the Chiefs, 40 against the Cardinals, 23 against the Raiders in another weird game, and then
That
20
was an
against
ugly one. Yeah.
a very sloppy game.
But I will
20
say
against
the Raiders were like for numbers wise, like Raiders defense was a lot better than people thought they were. Like I want to say they were seventh in DVOA for defenses, which is like relative to how much you spend on defense, basically. Like I think their DC was Thomas. He's the Steelers DC now. I forget what his name is, but he was a very good coach, and they actually had some decent talent on defense. So that was just a bizarre game.
this
They
sloppy.
had it was really bad. Yeah, there was a lot of just bad mistakes and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But like you
Missing
said, they're
the
still getting 20 plus, and with how good the defense is, that's kind of all you need.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, and the reason why I also highlight the Raiders game is because so we discussed the poor goal line packages against the Denver Broncos and the fact that against the Bills and the Raiders, how you finally pull out the play action to just little lob pass to Dalton Schultz in the corner of the end zone. Like it's just, I mean, it's been there the whole time. So it's like
Yeah,
it feels like they just had to beat their head into the table so much to where it's like, okay, we literally cannot do this. We gotta concede. So then after that, of course, like I said, 38 points against the Colts don't really count. Then playoffs, 30 burger against the Steelers should have been more. And then we know we
oh
want to
yeah.
talk about the Patriots game. So yeah, man. So again, I do that whole rundown to say this, man. To your point, there were flashes of greatness with this offense. And what I will say as a compliment is that they shone on offense against bad teams. Like when they went against defenses that were marred by
Hmm.
injuries or that were just poorly like bottom 10 defensive teams, like they dropped 30s and 40s on those teams,
Yeah, they did.
which
Yeah,
tells me, okay, so this is an offensive infrastructure that when the opportunity presents itself, they will handle business and hand out some belt. It's just they struggled with the upper tier defenses like any team would, but they really struggled maintaining just sometimes basic competent football skills against top 10 defenses or top 10 scoring defenses that apply certain amounts of pressure on the offensive line, who made CJ kind of think and really made Caley have to really think about situational play calling. So I just hope for everybody involved in this second season of the ENP or whatever this offense is going to be, that
hmm
CJ is more equipped. It sounds like he is. Caley has matured a little bit more. He's more seasoned. He has his multiple tight ends, at least three or four. So he can do
yeah.
12, 13. He can do that.
Thank
Um,
goodness.
he can do that. Right, exactly. You brought up the Marlon Klein point. Him being a 6'6" guy who a lot of untapped potential, but inline blocker, seam threat guy. Like I do believe that if you give him the opportunity, maybe he can cook, and we'll see. And look, I hope he, look if he ends up showing Kaylee that he is the guy, then it's a good and bad thing because eventually that means someone's going to hire him away.
Yeah, someone's gonna
So,
hire him. Yeah.
so you would just hope that you can put a bull on the ring before you leave. If it comes to that, it'd be nice, right? But anyway, but that's kind of their mess. But yeah, man, no, it's exciting times in Houston, man. Training camp is basically here. Tomorrow, Lord willing, the vets report. First practice will be Monday. So stay tuned for that, y'all. Jake, man, before we wrap up, man, first of all, again, thank you for coming on, bro. It's always an honor to have you. I hate that it's been this long, but love hearing from you,
Yeah,
fun
we
talking
gotta
to you.
we'll make sure throughout training camp and stuff throughout the season we'll be in touch for sure.
No, absolutely. And then one last time, man, let's promo, man, your interview, bro. So once again, with Derek Graham, offensive lineman, please check that out on Texas Pro. Jacob, do you have any other tidbits about this, or what's your next project that you need people to focus on while we're on the subject?
So actually my plan is, throughout training camps, all the open ones, I'm going to do kind of the same thing. Obviously not an interview, but I'm going to go live, after these training camps, just kind of talking about it. I'm also going to probably do a space when I'm driving home from the camp. That's what I did last year, and it was pretty fun. Just get kind of anyone that wants to ask any questions to come up and, just ask whatever. So I enjoy doing that. I'm planning on kind of doing that again. And then with the Graham interview as well, he kind of talked about the scheme. He touched on that. He compared it to, somewhat similar to what they did at Troy with Popovich, but different in terms of terminology and that kind of stuff. So you're kind of seeing some of the similarities between Popovich at Troy and then here. But yeah, so video comes out tomorrow at 11 a.m. So if anyone wants to watch that, I'd appreciate anyone that tunes in. I think it was a pretty good one. Got to talk to him for a little bit, and he was very insightful. He went pretty in depth about it, so it was fun for sure.
Absolutely. I'll be looking forward to it. Last thing, it just popped into my brain. Jake, the NFL Top 100 is happening, bro. I've asked this
Oh
question to
yeah,
numerous people. DJ Bienemy, he flat out said, if you need that list to be motivated, you're not the guy. Others
it's
think it's a big deal. So, Jake, I'll ask you, man. We're at what, pick 49 now, I believe, or in the
mhm.
40s. Joe Tooney, I think, was the latest one. Do
Yeah. I
you
think I
care?
saw that.
Number one, do you care that CJ Stroud has not appeared yet? And number two, does he show up?
So I don't really care. The only thing is that I definitely think he's better than Bryce Young, which is a little annoying because I think the Bryce Young stuff has gone a little too far. I think people like Bryce Young because he's fun and he's like a tiny guy to he's like easy to like. He's not good. Like I mean, there's plenty of tape and numbers to just show he's not very good, but I kind of think the list is a joke to begin with. It's not a very good list. Like the players, it's kind of improving time and time again. The players don't really know what they're talking. They don't watch the sport. Like they don't really watch other teams. Jeremiah Love like didn't know who Jared Goff was this offseason. He doesn't. They don't watch like
That's
outside
crazy.
of their teams and the film that they have to watch. They don't like. I don't think NFL players on their bye week are sitting around watching Red Zone. So it's like I don't really think it's like a list that people should take all that seriously. I get why it's fun. Like I don't have any problem with people enjoying it. I don't think it's like anything to motivate you. I agree with DJ on that. And I don't think he'll be on it. I'd be surprised, but I don't really think he was a top 100 player last year. But like I said, he was better than Bryce. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel
Yeah.
about it.
Look, I'm mixed, right? I'm mixed because on
Mhm.
one hand, like you and DJ are saying, this. What are we talking about? This is a peer group list where, like
Yeah, it's
DJ
for fun.
Bentley said, right? You got players putting their dog's name on the,
Yeah,
the
like they
list.
don't care.
So
Yeah.
right, so it's like, okay, well, if they don't take it serious, then why are we, right? But that's what we
Mhm.
do. We're content creators. We talk
Oh
about this
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. But what I will say though is every now and again you see little tidbits where it does make you go, hmm. Like, for example, you see Lamar Jackson at 69th overall,
That was
right?
crazy.
We
I
don't
couldn't
care,
believe
but
that.
it's one of those like, oh, that's very telling.
That was
Boom.
crazy. I was shocked because I get he wasn't that great last year, but like it's still Lamar Jackson. We're
Jacksonville.
just one. We're 2 seasons removed from him having one of the best seasons this decade. Like I don't know. I was shocked by that, and to me, I'm like I thought like the player is like Lamar like is one of the most fun guys to watch if you're just broadly watching the sport. He's so fun to watch and a guy that I thought players just genuinely like enjoyed. I was shocked that he was that low, and then I want to say like he was like Trevor was in front of him and like other and I think Hertz was in front of him. I'm like that's I don't know. I don't know.
I will hit you with this, and then we'll wrap up here. We're talking about this imaginary list. I'm just looking at the consistency of it. Fred Warner, granted, probably
Yeah,
future Hall of Famer, the best linebacker in football, probably right now, right? I guess judo
I would
expert,
think so. Yeah.
Jack Wood. This guy landed at, I want to say, 54th overall. Now, mind you, Jacob, this man only played 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 6 games, and he landed at 54. So by that, you mean to tell me, right? Even though
Lamar gets in the 60s. Yeah.
Lamar played 13 games. He missed 4, but he played 13. Didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
best overall season, but again, because he's a rusher and a passer, he, it kind of offsets a bit. He lands
Yeah.
at 69 in 13 games played, dropping 67 spots from second best
Crazy.
to 69, right? So that by side point, that tells me CJ most likely is cooked, because if Lamar can fall 67
Oh,
spots,
yeah.
you're
Yeah, CJ's gone. Yeah.
you're done. So, but
And
whatever.
like
Yeah.
you said with your
Yeah.
point, like with I stopped taking the list seriously after Bobby Wagner made the list. It's like once I saw he made the list, it's like he's not even on an NFL team right now, and I don't think it's because he doesn't want to play. I think nobody wants him. Like I get he still is effective in coming downhill, but like he can't cover anybody. But it's a name that players know because he's been in the league for 15 years.
He's
No,
old.
that's what
Like,
I'm
he's
saying. He shouldn't.
older.
It's not his fault. I mean, he's had an amazing career. He's a Hall of Famer. Like he was incredible at his peak. He just shouldn't be on an NFL 100 list anymore. He's not a top 100 player.
Leave this
So
man alone, man. If Justin Verlander can be an honoree for the baseball All-Star game,
there you go.
leave Bobby Wagner alone. Anyway, man, listen, this has been Clayton Anderson, Toro Time side expert for the Fan Side Network, host of the We Want Houston podcast. That's for my guy, Jacob, formerly Texan Jacob, now Jacob Barzilla. Again, Texans probe, sleeper, contributor. Check him out, man. One of the young phenoms in the game. I loved having him on again. I'm learning a lot from you, bro. Let's keep this up again. And yeah, man, we're
Let's
going to
do
wrap
it.
up here. Look, go Texans, go training camp, and hopefully we can put that bull on that ring pretty soon.
Let's do it.